The human named Rian stepped into the shared living quarters of the Interworld Study Habitat, a large circular building floating above the blue clouds of Sector 9. He arrived with 2 bags, a nervous breath, and instructions from the exchange office that he would be living with 1 student from the planet Andara. He expected some challenges, maybe odd customs or unusual meals, but he did not expect the message blinking on the door panel that said arrival accepted. Roommate inside, Rian pressed the door panel and walked in. The room was quiet and clean, with soft white walls and windows shaped like long arcs. The air smelled faintly of citrus. At the center stood his new roommate, an Andoran with bright jade eyes and smooth silver skin that shimmered under the ceiling lights. Her name was Lyra, a simple name the humans at the habitat had given her because her original name contained sounds human mouths could not easily produce. Lyra lifted her hand in a friendly gesture. Her voice sounded like wind passing through a crystal instrument. She greeted him with calm warmth and said she hoped they would learn from each other. Rian returned the greeting, trying to sound confident even though he felt unsure of almost everything around him. The habitat's small rooms were assigned in pairs. Each pair had a living area with 2 chairs, 1 desk, and a small kitchen unit. There was only 1 bedroom, but 2 sleeping platforms built into the curved wall. The platforms looked soft and were covered in light blue fabric. Rian pulled his bags toward the corner closest to the smaller platform, assuming that would be his. As he settled in, he noticed Lyra watching him with a curious tilt of her head. She studied his actions with thoughtful interest, then stepped closer and pointed at the platforms. Her tone was gentle but direct. "On my planet, sharing a bed is typical." She said this with such casual certainty that Rian froze in place. His duffel bag halfway unzipped, Rian cleared his throat and replied as politely as he could that humans usually kept separate beds unless they knew each other extremely well. Lyra blinked in surprise and asked why. Rian scrambled to explain that humans needed personal space and that sharing a bed was usually for family or close partners. Lyra listened with patience, then answered with complete sincerity that Andarans believed shared rest strengthened cooperation, trust, and emotional balance. Rian stood there, unsure what to say. Lyra did not pressure him. She simply nodded and said they could use separate platforms if that made him more comfortable. Her voice held no disappointment, only calm understanding. That seemingly small moment was the first lesson Rian learned about Kandarans. They valued harmony over preference. Lyra later told him that forcing comfort on another being made no sense to her species. Instead, they adjusted, adapted, and found balance. Over the next several days, Rian became familiar with the daily rhythm of the habitat. Each morning, the building rotated slightly to absorb more sunlight for energy. Lines of students moved through transparent corridors that overlooked the drifting clouds below. The Interworld Study Program aimed to build cooperation between different worlds, so every student attended classes that taught communication, diplomacy, science, or history. Rian enrolled in intercultural mechanics and shared habitat psychology, both chosen because he wanted to understand how different species worked together. Lyra studied biological resonance, a field focused on the connection between neural activity and emotional frequency. Her research involved analyzing how different species communicated emotions through light patterns, body language, and subtle sound. She spent long hours in her study booth, but she always returned with new information she wanted to share with Rian. Their conversations became a nightly habit. They sat at the small round table in the living area, while the windows dimmed to violet. Sometimes they discussed lessons or cultural habits. Sometimes Lyra asked questions about Earth that Rian never thought about before, such as why humans decorated their rooms with pictures instead of memories encoded in light spheres like Andarans. Rian would stumble through explanations while Lyra listened with honest fascination. Other times, Lara shared stories of Andara. She described cities built into cliffs of silver stone and forests, where the leaves glowed at night, lighting the paths for travelers. Rian found himself imagining those glowing forests whenever he could not sleep. Despite the harmony between them, living with someone from a completely different world was not simple. Rian discovered that Andarans did not eat 3 structured meals a day. Lyra consumed small energy capsules that dissolved into shimmering vapor when placed on her tongue. She explained that her species converted light and minerals directly into energy, so food in the human sense was unnecessary. Meanwhile, Rian's habit of cooking noodles made her stare with intense fascination. The steam rising from the pot made her eyes brighten as if watching a rare chemical experiment. Her reactions often made Rian laugh. In return, Lyra exposed him to her own odd routines. For example, she hummed low melodic tones each morning as part of her focus ritual. The tones gently vibrated the air in the room. At first, the sounds startled Rian, but after a few days, he found them soothing. One evening, after a long day of study, Rian returned to the shared room and found Lyra sitting at the edge of the larger sleeping platform. Her posture seemed tense. The lights in her eyes flickered slightly, something that happened only when she felt unsettled. He asked if everything was all right. She lifted her gaze and took a slow breath before explaining the situation. Her research group planned to travel to one of the outer platforms of the habitat for a 3-week project. She was required to leave early in the morning. The announcement had been sudden and urgent. She apologized for the short notice and said she hoped Rian would not feel abandoned. Rian assured her it was fine, but he noticed her hesitation. After a moment, she admitted that Andarans did not like leaving their household partners suddenly. She clarified that partner did not mean romantic partner in her culture. It referred to someone who shared daily space, duties, and routines. She explained that leaving a partner without preparation created emotional imbalance. Rian found this interesting but confusing. As human roommates did not treat departure with such importance, to ease her discomfort, Rian asked what preparation meant. Lyra considered this carefully. She said she needed to leave a message of reassurance that their living space would remain stable and full of trust. She then asked if she could perform an Andaran farewell practice. Rian allowed it, unsure what to expect. Lyra reached out gently and touched the back of his hand with her palm. Her skin felt cool and smooth. She closed her eyes and produced a soft melodic sound that vibrated the room faintly. She explained that Andarans communicated reassurance through controlled resonance. The tone was meant to express that she valued their cooperation and trusted him to maintain harmony in the space. Rian felt honored. The moment lasted only a short time, but left a deep impression. Lyra thanked him and prepared for her departure. During her 3 weeks away, Rian discovered how quiet the room felt without her. The mornings lacked her gentle humming. The evenings lacked their conversations. Even the kitchen felt emptier without her curious questions about human cooking. Rian kept the room tidy and tried to maintain the same peaceful atmosphere she valued. He realized how much he appreciated her presence. When Lyra returned, she carried a small crystal sphere that shimmered with blue and green light. She presented it to Rian as a gift. It contained a recording of her experiences on the outer platform. She explained that she had seen energy storms close to the cloud surface and glowing mineral fields that shifted color with atmospheric pressure. Rian accepted the gift with thanks. He felt the warm weight of their growing friendship. That evening they returned to their usual routine of conversation, sharing what they had learned. Lyra seemed relieved to be back in the shared space. At one point, she looked at the sleeping platforms with thoughtful eyes. She spoke in a soft tone and said she hoped that one day Rian would not feel uncomfortable with shared rest. She clarified again that the practice held no romantic meaning among her people. It was simply a sign of trust and close cooperation. Rian hesitated but considered her words. He acknowledged how much he had grown comfortable with her presence. Lyra respected his boundaries without question, and because of that, he felt safe in exploring her customs. He told her that maybe in the future he might be open to trying shared rest, if only to understand her culture better. Lyra's eyes softened in gratitude. She did not push the idea further. She only thanked him for his openness. Weeks turned into months. The two worked together on various assignments. Rian helped Lyra understand human emotional cues. Lyra taught him how to recognize subtle light patterns in Andron communication. Their collaboration gained attention from instructors, who praised their ability to bridge cultural gaps. One day, the habitat announced an emergency drill. All students were required to gather in the central chamber. A simulated system failure would be tested. When the alarm sounded, Lyra and Rian moved quickly through the corridor. The lights dimmed to a deep red and the floor vibrated. A simulated gravity shift hit the building. Some students stumbled. Lyra instinctively reached for Rian's arm to steady him. The two continued forward together. In the central chamber, the drill escalated unexpectedly.